Hey guys, welcome to 2014. This is our review of It Follows.
You mean 2015?
2015, yeah.
He's lost in his years.
Yeah, I'm lost in my list, but this is our first review in quite a while since Neighbors, actually. Since me and Eddie here, we're just chilling out, and we meant to do this a couple of days ago, but shit came up and we couldn't have time.
I'm trying to keep up on these reviews. We've seen so many movies together. It's just, I live a busy life. I'm trying to catch up. I got a lot of catching up.
Yeah, me too. This is my first review since Hobbit, so bear with me on this. I know I'm not doing a video review, so this is our first audio review we're doing together. We're just going to do something a little different this time because we figured might as well give it a take, because since we're doing audio reviews, it gives us more time to think and also more time to actually... Well, okay, if for those of you who watch spoiler reviews, this is probably one of your uncensored kind of reviews. So here we go. This is our review of It Follows, which is a movie that many people it was a movie that came out a month ago about the woman who's being chased after she has sex. And a lot of people know about it because it was in theaters for quite a while, for about a couple weeks, but then it kind of went out.
It's a movie that's unknown, even though it's named. It's an unknown film.
Yeah, it's critically acclaimed. It's critically acclaimed.
Let's talk about it.
All right, let's talk about it.
Here we go. I liked it. I got to give it about an 80%. And the reason why I do that is it brings me back
to the
70s, 80s film. I thought I was watching Halloween version of Ghost movies. It was a hell of a written good movie. Cast for these people in this movie are not famous actors, but for getting new people brought into mainstream movies, this was well cast.
It was.
The girl was absolutely fucking sexy. Yeah.
But also she was good too. Like, she wasn't your stereotypical blonde fucking stupid chick. She was actually, for a character like that, it actually made sense in this world they were given.
And I gotta say one pretty cool scene is I like the tall ghost that comes after her. That motherfucker creeped me out. I wish they would... I will bitch about that a little bit. They underused him.
Yeah.
He actually freaked me out more than the other two.
No, wasn't he in the pool scene? Or was that a different ghost? No, that was her dad. Sorry, that was her father.
Yeah, her dad. That was creepy.
Yeah.
This movie,
okay,
has children, it has got a lot of nudity. So,
yeah.
Don't let your kids see this movie because it's got dick flying everywhere.
Well, we'll start from again. Basically, the whole plot is essentially, for those of you who are familiar with like STDs and shit like that, think of it like that, where if you have sex, basically that STD becomes a ghost. He becomes pretty much like Michael Myers, and he tries to follow you everywhere. Pretty much, because no matter what happens, that fucking whoever you fuck, they basically get followed by some kind of weird.
All right. Another thing I want to state is, like he's saying, it's basically trying to hinder you having sex and making you pay for it.
Yeah.
But it's not trying to do it with Jason killing you. It's trying to make you pay by a ghost killing you. And it's pretty clever because you don't see this in any film. I don't recall a film where you actually have sex and the sex kills you. So some supernatural makes you feel like it builds a killer out of you having sex.
Yeah. But also what really makes this film shine the most is the direction, the music as well. The music really feels like a fucking 80s movie.
The score made me... I don't think anything can bring me back from Halloween with John Carpenter than this fucking movie, right?
Yeah.
This movie alone it is the only movie that ever, and that's including Rob Zombie's Halloween. This movie alone brought me to John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Here, Halloween 1.
And 2. Well, mostly Halloween 1. Because really, if you look at it, there are some shots that are nearly identical to the shots where Carpenter filmed Halloween 1. Especially the scene at the school.
Now, here's another thing. People, when you go see this movie, don't go anticipating it as a gore fest.
No, it's not.
It's not going to be a gore fest.
There's not really much of a body count.
Alright, I'm going to say this. If you're a Halloween fan, if you're into... You don't have to... Everything don't have to be a gore fest. Go in there as the story. Go in there as like something that's the closest of the 80s, 70s Halloween feel to it. Go in there like that. Please go in there like that. If you're like that, those type movies, and you're a real movie goer, this is the movie for you. If you're in there and want to see some fucking ripped apart Saw movie, you're not gonna fucking like it.
No, because to me, this is those kind of films where when you watch it, it's a love letter to movies that were directed by John Carpenter, Wes Craven, and even Sam Raimi. Sam
Raimi and some other
horror
directors that made really good. Because trust me, 80s movies got a lot of underrated good movies. Night of Demons, Hell House. Stuff like that. That's what reminded me of Hell House. Stuff like that.
The Entity.
That was what reminded me of the fucking 80s music, genre, score, everything. This is a movie that a lot of people may bash because they love the fucking... I love gore. Don't get me wrong. Saw, I love that shit. Yeah. I love gore. And take it from me, I'm a guy that is generally a guy that likes gore. If it ain't, I ain't gonna see it. This movie, I rarely, I gotta give a thumbs up for it.
Yeah. In fact, it's one of those movies that I watched in the theater. I was so glad because me and you struggled so long fucking time to watch this movie in the theater because you were so busy. Yeah. I was so glad we got to see the last day it was showing.
Yeah.
We got to see this movie in the theater.
Yeah, we went the last showing before they said it was no longer going to be no more.
Yeah. So I was glad to see it because I wanted to at least experience at least one good horror film of the year that was good in theaters.
By the way, coming up soon, we are getting ready to go see Unfriended here in a few hours. We'll give you a review. So far, it don't look good, but we'll get our own point.
But for what we've seen so far, this is the best horror film that we've seen lately this year.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. Now, I don't see a lot of horror films in the theaters that much. The last good horror film I've seen in the theater, believe it or not, was probably The Conjuring. And that was a rare occasion. But going back to the It Follows, it was good to see a good throwback to films that were take place in the 80s. Because if this, believe it or not, if this film was made back in the 80s, it could easily pass as an 80s film. Because when you watch the film, there's actually sequences where you see characters like... You see, like, televisions that are, like, in the 50s and, like, a lot of shit, like, the clothes, everything that looks 80s.
Here's another thing that gives me hope for. The fact that this movie went strong nudity and strong... they let everything go. And the fact that they let everything go and they still allow this in theaters gives me hope for films.
Me too.
That you can go the extra mile and... still make a good movie out of it.
Yeah, because you know how filmmakers nowadays, they're so scared to show that kind of shit.
Filmmakers are bitching about the whole, like, if we show dick, it might not make theaters. Or we show pussy, it might not make theaters. This movie did both of them.
Yeah.
And was still focused on a good storyline.
But not to mention, it actually gave us characters that we're actually rooting for.
Oh, by the way, it keeps it suspenseful.
It does. The tension's cool, too.
The tension's good. And... it doesn't need to go really far out there. Movies usually have to show me a lot to fucking make a good movie and make me want to see a sequel. This movie didn't have to do much to do that to me, and I can see still waiting on a sequel.
There's only two things I can see what can probably bother me. There's not really much of a body count.
Yeah.
And the story could have been a lot more explained better.
Body count, it lacked a little more blood, because I want to tell you that right now, spoiler alert, please don't read the reviews because we really like to explain a lot, but it has a badass fucking beginning with the gore.
Yeah.
But then it really throws you off because it's pretty much the only gore you're gonna fucking see throughout the fuck.
Besides, like, the scene later on near the end where it shows a pool of blood, but that's really about it. Like, the whole pool where it shows a big fucking blood.
But it's cool to see a ghost that everybody's trying to fight, but only one person can see him.
Yeah.
That's the one that fucked the, you know.
It kind of, when you look at it, it's kind of like they're paying tribute to Nightmare on Elm Street, because Nightmare on Elm Street, only people who were outside the dreams, they can only see, like, the shapes and shit. They couldn't actually see they couldn't see Freddy Krueger.
Hey, you know what it also reminded me of was Hollow Man.
That too.
Kevin Bacon's Hollow Man.
Yeah.
Where you were able to throw the whole thing over him to see him. You had to fight the invisible man.
Shit.
You had to fight the invisible
man.
Hall of Fame was a good movie.
Yeah, very underrated movie.
The very underrated Kevin Bacon movie. I love that movie.
Yeah,
That was a whole pass.
But I also like too is not only the cinematography is brilliant, the music's brilliant, especially that dun 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 dun, theme, and also the direction, especially the camera angles. Like every time it would show tension, it would basically spin the camera like a 360 angle, where it could turn it like a circle. That was clever.
What creeped me out is to see the victim begging for mercy, for help, but she can't get help, or he can't get help because these people don't know if she's lying or telling the truth because they think she's seeing shit.
Yeah,
but
it's like it's essentially like one of those films where like how most modern horror movies nowadays like to do too much jump scares, where it's like doo-doo, like that. This is more of those old school movies where they take their time with their characters. They like to build up a lot of tension. They like to basically do what old horror films did, where they actually showed story, and they took time with the story and also actually built tension, which is something you don't see nowadays.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this movie the most, is that it actually takes its time with its characters, and it's just an overall, just a good experience. It's a good throwback to that kind of genre.
Yeah.
Because nowadays we're stuck with fucking films that like to trick us. They like to...
There's a lot of gore movies that just don't work out.
They don't.
See No Evil was one of them. I mean, it was a gore fucking fest, but it was a horrible fucking movie. I didn't care for it.
Yeah, besides Kane, but that's about it.
Yeah, Kane was a good choice, but I mean, the movie sucked overall.
Yeah, because now we're dealt. The reason most of the movies like these don't usually work too well is because we're stuck with found footage films like Unfriended and Paranormal Activity and shit, and fucking gore films, which basically try to up the ante, which is cool, but at the same time, you're not really doing anything justice with like old school horror fans.
Yeah, see, alright, you have to, I recommend this movie for people who are really into movies. You got to be a really movie fanatic. If you're going to be expecting Optimus Prime to pop in this fucking scene, this little hipster, we live in this hipster world where, like, you rely on fucking Michael Bay CGI.
Yeah.
I'm a movie fanatic. I grew up in the fucking 80s. I grew up in the 90s. And now I'm growing up in the 2000s and the 2010s. But you got to be... I mean, you could be fucking 15 if you respect what I grew up with, then this is the movie for you.
Yeah.
If you're gonna grow up and fucking just say, oh, well, Optimus Prime didn't show up in this film, or I didn't see no fucking heart get shot out, and, you're expecting shit like that, then this movie's not you.
Now, I can see why a lot of nowadays mainstream audiences don't like the film, because they're more into, like, shit like Unfriended, or, like, the shit where they want the more, like, gory shit. I get that.
I love gore.
But if you're an old school, like really old school horror fan, this is the movie for you.
Yeah.
If you grew up watching shit like People on the Stairs or Wes Craven's New Nightmare, shit from the 90s, you would love this fucking movie.
Yeah, this is it for you.
Yeah. Or shit from like the 70s, like The Exorcist. This is the kind of movie for you because it doesn't rely on that kind of shit. It relies you on disturbance, a good story, disturbing sequences, and tension, music, everything, and anxiety. Because basically the whole movie is like a metaphor for anxiety. Like you're very freaking out over the shit that's happening.
But anyways, we don't want to spoil anymore. Go see it. It follows in theaters.
It's not in theaters anymore.
Yeah, it's out. But
when you get a chance, check it out.
Check it out. Yep.
But yeah, we'll be back when we go see Unfriended, and we'll see how that one goes. Because we're seeing good reviews, but we'll give it our own thoughts about how that one turns out.
All right, y'all have a good day.
All right, thank you.